My ears will never be the same.
They really made 9 movies. That's crazy. That's really crazy to think about. This franchise has been around for almost 20 years, and they've made 9 main movies, and there's been some like short films and spin-offs and stuff, but they've really made nine movies in this franchise. That's crazy. This franchise has been around since I was like 6 months old. That's wild. Let me just start this out by saying that I'm a huge fan of this franchise. I am ingrained in it. I'm invested in it. That is never going to change. I'm even going on social media and reading people's comments talking about, remember when Fast and Furious was just about street racing and not all this extra stuff? Like, bro, if you don't like what it's become, you don't have to watch it. But at the same time, don't ruin everybody's fun. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, it used to be about street racing, and there's still some street racing involved in the newest movies. But like, if it was still about street racing after 9 movies in, you would get tired of it. You feel me? Before I get into the movie at hand, I just want to say that my personal favorites in this franchise would be 1, 5, and 7. 1, because it's just a timeless movie. It's hard to explain, but it's just one of those things where it's an all-time classic, and you can't go wrong with it. 5 is where everyone in the entire franchise, minus the Tokyo Drift characters, when everyone in the main portion of the franchise came together, and that's when Dwayne Johnson got introduced, and that's when, people started to appreciate the franchise more. I don't know if he had something to do with that, but that's really when people started to appreciate the franchise more. 7 is because of, the unfortunate passing of Paul Walker. Alone, the reason I say Furious 7 is one of my favorite movies is because just because of the tribute alone that they paid to him. What happened to him was sad, but I thought they handled it well until they decided to make more movies. Like, if it was up to me, and this is probably going to be a reach or whatever, but like, if it was up to me, I think the perfect way to end the franchise would have been at 7. Because, you're paying homage to, I don't want to say he carried the franchise, because that's not true. Everyone in this franchise does their thing. Everyone works at 100,000%, but he's a focal piece, a focal point of the franchise. He like, you know what I'm saying? He was like I said, he didn't carry it by any means, but he was just there, Now let's get to this new movie. Fast and Furious 9, F9, Fast 9, the Fast Saga, whatever you want to call it. A movie, one of many movies that was pushed back a million times because of COVID. The movie was initially supposed to come out the summer of last year. Pushed it back, just like a lot of movies. Like a lot of movies that was supposed to come out last year got pushed back. And the movie, honestly, in my opinion, I think the reason this movie was so good, it's mainly because of the storytelling. I think this is the only movie in the franchise, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is probably one of the only movies in the franchise that it actually felt like there was an actual story to follow. Furious 8 it had a story to it because Dom had to turn on his crew to get his son back, so that was a dark movie. So was this. That was a dark movie. The title and the description is going to be spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie and if you don't want to hear spoilers, click the video off right now, go see the movie and come back. The beginning of the movie starts showing how Dom and Jacob's dad, Jack, had died in a crash on the racetrack, which I remember Dom telling Brian how his dad died in the first movie. So all this is a callback to Furious 1, where Dom told Brian, he showed him the car that he never driven because he's terrified of it, and he told Brian why he was terrified, because his father went out that way. And when I remember thinking in the theater, once I saw that was their dad, I'm like, oh no, this is how his dad died. I was like, no, we don't need to see this. We don't need to see this. I know where this is going to go. I know this is going to be sad. I know this is going to be dark. We don't need to see this. The movie progresses, and we get reintroduced to Jacob later on in the movie, and we find out that Dom basically blamed Jacob for their dad dying, which I don't think, did Jake really know what he was doing to that car? At the moment, that's what I was thinking when Dom basically disowned him after winning that race. We find out later in the movie that Jake did what he had to do to keep his dad from escaping his debt. The highest points of the movie was, reintroducing the characters from Tokyo Drift. And you got Cypher, who's behind this whole thing, this whole terrorizing Dom's family. So seeing her was pretty cool too. And then seeing Deckard and Owen's mother, she's just comedic relief. She's just hilarious. She's just hilarious. And the action, of course, is always going to be over the top in these Fast and Furious movies. Like, I remember making jokes with my mom and dad, like, what are they going to do next? They're already 9 movies in. What else can they do from here? They went to outer space. Even though the movie was not based in outer space, we just got a piece of them doing that. I'm like, okay, yeah, y'all definitely reaching limits. What you gonna do now? A skydiving gunfight? Like, people gonna be on parachutes and you got an AK and then just gonna shoot people while your parachutes fall? Like, they're probably gonna do that, and that would look pretty cool. I've been thinking about that since Furious 6, where where they had that fight on a plane. I've been thinking about that, like a skydiving gunfight. Like, why not? You did all this, you might as well disobey the laws of physics and fight with guns in the air. And the ending of the movie, or towards like the back end of the movie, where Cypher betrays Jacob for basically trying to help Dom out, you're basically showing the movie Jacob is the main villain here who's working for Cypher. And now all of a sudden Cypher chooses he's useless and wants to turn against him, and now Jacob's on our side again. Now he's the hero. I'm glad they didn't kill Jacob, because, you know, in a way, what Dom and Jacob went through wasn't 100% their fault. They had to witness their pops go out in a terrible way at a very young and fragile age, doing something that he loved, and they both didn't know how to cope with it. Like, Dom went to prison for beating up the dude that got him killed. Like, that I remember him saying that in the movie too. Beat him with a socket wrench. He said he couldn't lift his arm up. The callbacks is definitely what made the movie special for me. And then, of course, I forgot to bring up the most important thing. Han coming back. And now they're showing how Han made it out of that crash from Tokyo Drift. And I'm gonna be honest, when I saw that pretty much Mr. Nobody got him out of that car, I'm like, wait, that still doesn't explain how he was able to get out of all that rubble in time before the car blew up. Like, okay, we know he ain't dead because he's right there, but how did he get out of there so quickly? So Han was undercover trying to keep this little girl safe who lost her parents, trying to find Project Ares, because she was the key to unlocking the project. It's kind of your standard Fast and Furious movie. Like, if you're looking for over-the-top action, stuff that makes no sense, then this movie will satisfy you. As a movie, it makes no, like, let's be real, as a movie, it makes no sense. Like, a lot of those crashes, a lot of those stunts, in real life, somebody would have died. But we don't go in, at least I don't go into Fast and Furious movies looking for logic. I don't go into a movie like Fast and Furious looking for things to make sense. I look into it for a good time, seeing some cars flip, seeing stuff blow up, seeing Roman Pierce run his mouth. That dude never shuts up. Gets on my nerves. Some of the jokes in the movie were kind of flat, but it's Roman and Tej, like, they're just timeless characters. They're just comedic relief. The jokes fell flat, but it's them. Like, it is what it is. Overall, I enjoyed the movie. Again, I think its biggest pro is actually having a story to follow, in addition to Fast and Furious 8 that also had a story to follow. I feel like the rest of the movies didn't really have much to do. It was just trying to get a bad guy, or trying to keep, you know, world satellite systems from being hacked, or getting a lot of money. This one, there's actually backstory. There's actually something personal going on between the focal character, and if they can keep doing that for the rest of the franchise, then they're already worth $1 billion franchise. They really don't have to make no more movies. They will, and, you know, if that's their choice, that's their choice. They'll stop. I guess they'll keep making them as long as it keeps making the money. But yeah, for the most part, I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was pretty good. I'm not gonna say it was the best, but it's definitely it was definitely a good movie. One thing I wanted to touch on is towards the ending. They're all at the house, that destroyed house in LA. Then they show the open seat, the empty seat next to Mia. I'm glad she came back too. I've always loved Mia. They show the part, everyone's at the dinner table. Everyone who's been in these movies, all at the dinner table, ready to eat. They had little Brian about to say grace. And then the empty seat. And then by the end of the movie, a blue Nissan Skyline pulls up into the driveway. I saw that clip. I saw the ending clip before going to see the movie. So I was sitting in that theater honestly hoping it wasn't real, because, like, oh, they're really bringing back his character. They're really bringing back the Brian character. They're bringing back Brian O'Connor. I'm very, very torn about that. I'm very, very torn about them deciding to bring back the Brian O'Connor character. I love the character. One of the best parts of the franchise is the Brian O'Connor character. But again, knowing what happened to the person who played him, it's an ethical thing, you know what I'm saying? It was definitely a good surprise, and, you know, something I didn't expect. But again, I was going into that hoping it was fake, because it's like, okay, y'all, I don't know, man. I don't know if this is the move, because we know what that Nissan Skyline, what character that car is synonymous with in the franchise. Now, I could be overthinking it. Maybe that wasn't Brian pulling up in that blue Nissan Skyline. It could have been Jacob. It could have been, because when they rescued Jacob and he pulled off before the cops could get him, Dom said, they talked about 10-second cars and, like, I owe you a favor, and he gave Jacob the key to his Charger and he drove off. So maybe that's Jacob's 10-second car and that's just him pulling up in the driveway and now he's finally with the family. That could be, maybe I'm overthinking. Maybe that wasn't Brian. Maybe that was Jacob pulling up in Brian's car. I don't know. That's definitely something that I wanted to touch on. I saw that ending and that's what motivated me to make this video, because it's like, it's not my decision. You know what I'm saying? I'm still going to support them, still going to support their movies. Like I said, I've loved this franchise since I was a kid. And if they're going to have the Brian character back, they're probably going to have Paul's brother Cody play him, because he looks just like him. So, I mean, even in Furious 7, they had Cody be stand-ins and had CGI. On that last scene with Paul in Furious 7, that was Cody, and they just had his face reworked. So they might do that. Now, the post-credit scene where Han pulled up on Decker didn't know. Decker thought that Han was actually dead. That was pretty cool. So that lets me know the franchise is going to keep going, and I'm interested. I've always been interested, but this was definitely an interesting film. Definitely, it was a good. It was not bad by any means. It was not a bad movie. Was some of the action over the top, and you're just sitting there like, really? Of course. And again, you're gonna expect that going into Fast and Furious. Like, again, you don't go into these movies thinking it's all gonna make sense, because it doesn't. But that's the whole point. That's why the movies are so fun to watch. That's why going to the theater is so much fun, watching these movies, because the stuff you see makes no sense. Scale of 1 to 10, I'm not sure. I'd rate it 6, 7, 6.6 out of 10, maybe something like that. Not a bad score, you know. It could be better, but the movie could have been way worse, you know. Like I said, I definitely enjoyed myself. The ending with Brian's car pulling in that driveway, which is what motivated me to make this video. Yeah, I don't think it's the best movie. I think they're overly concerned with trying to, like, top themselves. In other words, they made this movie, now they're trying to see if it can be better. And I'm like, see, that's the kind of mentality that's going to make you do stuff that's the kind of stuff that makes people do things that makes no sense, is they're trying to top themselves. They're trying to go over the top, which I don't mind, but, like, sometimes you don't need to, because the franchise is never going to go away. Like, the impact that this movie franchise has had on the movie world, the fact that everyone was so heartbroken from Paul's passing, that lets me know how much of an impact, or the fact that how many conversations I've had with people that I went to school with about Fast and Furious. Every time we would go to see the movie, we talk about it the next day at school. That lets me know that this franchise has had an impact on people that are fans of fast cars, fans of action movies, and fans of just over-the-top nonsensical violence. I give this movie a solid 6.6 out of 10. It wasn't perfect, but it was definitely a good movie. I enjoyed myself at the theater. And I do look forward to seeing what they're going to do next, because, like I said, other than the Fate of the Furious, this might be their best movie as far as storytelling goes. It had the best story. It had an actual story, and they told it pretty well.